you. Number 28,
Mr. Mayor?
Mr. Krupika.
For number 28, we actually got one email from a resident in Arlandria. I've talked to a number of other residents there. They are all very pleased with the process or progress that's been made on this, and they've actually had a chance to talk with planning staff about it. And they asked today, and I think one of them sent us an email, that they get one more chance to talk to planning to clarify some questions they have about the resolution. They're not opposed to this process. They just want to answer a few questions. So unless there's a strong feeling otherwise, I'd like to ask that we defer this so that they have a chance to talk to staff about their questions.
Next legislative meeting?
To the next legislative meeting, yeah.
All right. Motion by Councilman Krupika to defer item 28, resolution for the creation of the Alexandria Implementation Group to the next legislative meeting, which is October 27th. Mr. Smedberg.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. What's the rationale for having an Arlington County resident?
The rationale had to do with the 4-mile run plan and the fact that there was a task force that comprised both Arlington and Alexandria residents, and so to keep that positive communication going.
Can we clarify that then in the resolution? Is that good? To make it a member of that task force who's from Arlington?
Sure.
Mr. Mayor, a couple questions. And we can get, when you bring it back to us at the next legislative meeting, it'll be fine. But the fiscal impact on this is estimated to be 300 hours of staff time, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Which seems to be a lot of hours, number one. Number two, I would also like to know, I'd just like the manager's comment on the staff time that's being dedicated to that when we've got a number of other items that are on our plate right now, number one. Number two, how much has been budgeted for funding for anything that may or may not come out of this group in the current fiscal year? It seems to me that we're creating sort of a, and I like this concept, and I think that there are a number of these other groups around, because I do think it's important for us to get the sort of the thoughts and reflections of the citizens, but I also think we're also setting ourselves up to get a whole laundry list of additional budget demands at exactly the wrong time, when we are facing tremendous capital projects that are being deferred. I mean, we heard a presentation earlier tonight from Mr. Baer about sewer issues. He's the president of the Friends of the Alexandria Sewers. We appreciate you coming by. But I'm just concerned that we're creating a mechanism that raises the level of demand and thus expectation for additional programs and services. So I just would appreciate staff's comment when you bring it back to us. We don't need to talk about it now.
Great.
But just bring back some comments when you redocket this item, because if we've got, what is it? I don't know how many of these groups do we have right now?
Well, actually, we only have one other implementation advisory group.
Okay. Well, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. But my concern is that we've got 25 advisory implementation groups around, all coming to the table with sort of a list of demands, and I think it's good to get their input, because being close to the citizens is real important. But I also think we have to be prepared with a funding strategy.
Sure. Can I just make one comment? I think Kerry brings up a great point. I do know, at least having talked to a number of the residents that planning staff talked to, they don't expect any money to come out of this. But they are focused on money that has already been put in the CIP, that is sitting there, that hasn't been spent, and I think they have some questions about how that money may get spent or how it may get prioritized.
And that's legitimate.
So they're certainly not coming to this expecting there to be new money. They actually know there won't be new money. They have a different question, which is, since there's a very limited amount of money, one of the conversations they want to have is, can they take a look at that CIP allocation for Arlandria and have a conversation about how to prioritize it, given they don't expect they're going to get any more for a long time. So that's, of the issues that they want to talk about before this comes back, that's one of them, which is knowing that they're not going to have access to money, how do they, can this group have at least some input into the CIP prioritization for that one chunk of money? There's like a $500K that I think has been designated for all.
And I think that's the kind of discussion we ought to be having. So when you bring it back, if you could have at least some discussion in the docket memo
And Mr.
regarding this.
Ms. Hughes?
Yeah, that's fine.
I'm so sorry, Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
My concern, I think that this is a great idea from what I've read on paper, but the concern that I get, and I'm just making this for the record, is the 300 hours of staff time. When we start talking in terms of money, where I come from, time actually is money. We have very well qualified and highly capable and educated staff, but every hour you're out of City Hall working on something that we need to have done in the planning department, that's an expense that's going to be offset somewhere else. You know, we have a number of consultants helping us on a number of things, so when we start talking about the cost and what it actually is, I have or register some concern there.
All right, and again, this is, the intent here is to pick up where we left off, where things got stalled in terms of trying to grow the economy, economic development in that area, and so I too agree that 300 hours of staff time is far too much, but certainly we need staff to help initiate it, but I don't think we really need that many hours dedicated to it. So when it comes back, it'll come back with some improvement. So did we vote, Madam Clerk, for the defer? All right, we got a motion and a second to defer. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Ayes